I'm Martin Kidd, I'm Chief Designer at Victory. I'm here to talk about the V4 series of pedal preamps. So far we've launched 3 pedals in this range, which are the Countess, the Sheriff and the VX Kraken pedal. These are not ordinary overdrive pedals. They are all valve powered. They each contain 4 valves, and the idea behind them is to emulate the preamp section of their namesake amplifiers. They're not necessarily a stomp box. They can be used as such, but really the idea behind them is to replace your current amplifier's preamp So, I mean, you may ask, why might you want to do that? But if you have a single channel amplifier, say a V40, Victory V40, and you might like to expand the range of sounds available from that, then you could add a little bit of Kraken or Sheriff flavour to it. I mean, you're not restricted to using it only with single channel amplifiers. If you have an amplifier that has 2 channels or even 3, but you find them missing a certain sound, then this may be the way to go to expand that still further. Whilst the pedal preamp is on, then you are replacing your current amplifiers, your own amplifier's preamp with that. But as soon as you turn it off, of course, then you're back to using your normal preamp in your favourite old amplifier. We call that amp through mode, and it's the same as a 4-cable method on certain other effects units. Smashing. So all of these pedals, they are 2 channels. One channel is slightly more gainy than the other, to a lesser or greater extent, and you can select which gain structure with the button on the top panel if you want to, or you can use a remote switching device that uses TRS kind of access, or a foot switch, so you can keep the device, your V4 pedal, on top of your amp or out of harm's way. You do really need to think of these, the controls on these pedal preamps as amplifiers themselves and not a traditional stomp box. The tone shaping is more extreme on these pedals, so you just will need to bear that in mind. But the upside is you're adding an entire valve front end to your existing amplifier, so that's essentially what's happening here. If you have an amp that doesn't have an effects loop, you can still use the preamp pedal. Say perhaps you might have a vintage Marshall where the gain structure and EQ and overdrive, etc., hitting the front end of that amplifier might be a little stark perhaps initially. Then you would need to experiment with and not be afraid to use extreme settings of treble and middle particularly. The likelihood is you'll need to spend some time just tweaking and getting things set on the amplifier, because you've got a gain structure and EQ section on the amplifier as well as the pedal preamp.
That sounds great.
So you may ask, who's going to use this kind of pedal preamp in fact? Well, it will be anyone that wants to add a whole other flavour to their existing amplifier. The other people will be those who like to do silent desktop recording using computers and impulse responses. People that have to do fly gigs, so people that have to fly thousands of miles. They don't really know what sort of amplifier that will be provided when they get to the venue, and it would be nice for those people to have something that they are familiar with and are comfortable with. I'm told also there are people that will plug straight into the PA with the appropriate filtering, some sort of speaker emulation, so if that's your preferred way to go about things, it will work for you too. Well, it's not every day that an amp manufacturer would include another manufacturer's product in a video, but I think it's prudent to do this because everyone's going to ask me, what does it sound like through a Hot Rod Deluxe?
Ta-da! Hot Rod Deluxe.
Okay, well, that's the V4 series of pedals. It's been quite a journey, frustrating at times, but ultimately it's been quite rewarding. As far as I know, nobody's put 4 valves running at proper valve plate voltages into a pedal before, and I would say this is not your usual overdrive stomp box. It can be used as such, but you will need to be patient and be prepared to fiddle. This is really something to expand the tonal range of your amplifier. I hope you'll agree that the sounds you'll have heard speak for themselves. I can feel that through the floor. Always a good sign.